Luciano.
Ready.
Okay, we're good. Everybody in place? Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Village of Biscayne Park Code Compliance Board meeting for Tuesday, January 14th. It is now 6:01 p.m. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Janie Anderson.
Here.
Dale Blinton.
Here.
Rodolfo Briantos. Judy Hammerberg.
Here.
Michael Lenard.
Here.
Ashley and Brene Green. Co-compliance manager Doris C. Grant. Luciano Nibbs.
Present.
Rafael Gutierrez.
Absent.
Vanessa Cherry, present.
Good evening once again. This is a meeting of the Village of Biscayne Park Code Compliance Board. The board is authorized pursuant to Chapter 14 of the Village's Land Development Code to ensure compliance with the Village's Code of Ordinances. The members of the board are citizens and residents of the Village of Biscayne Park. We volunteer our time and we are not paid for our services. The purpose of each hearing is to give any alleged violators the opportunity to contest the decision of the code compliance officer, which resulted in the issuance of a notice of violation, and to determine whether a violation of the village's code has occurred or is occurring. We are not authorized to dismiss violations based on hardships, ignorance, or the fact that others may be guilty of the same violation. These hearings are conducted in a quasi-judicial manner. Our responsibility is to act much like a judge in a court, and that is to hear cases presented by the village's code compliance officers and to hear contradictory arguments presented by the alleged violators. We are not authorized to change the codes. The Village Commission is solely authorized to enact or revise codes. Conversely, neither the Commission nor the village manager have the authority to overrule the findings of the board. Pursuant to Chapter 162 Florida statutes, orders of the board can only be appealed to the Circuit Court of Miami-Dade County. We have the authority to assess and order the payment of civil penalties, to issue orders having the force of law, to command whatever steps are necessary to bring a violation into compliance, and to assess the administrative costs. In order to make a finding upholding the code compliance officer's decision, we must find that there is substantial competent evidence that the named violator was responsible for a violation of the relevant section of the code as charged. All documentary evidence presented by the parties must be submitted for placement in the hearing file. No documentary evidence will be considered unless the alleged violator or code compliance officer submits a copy for the hearing file. Each party shall have the right to call and examine witnesses, to introduce exhibits, to cross-examine opposing witnesses on any matter relevant to the issues, even though that matter was not covered in the direct examination, to impeach any witness regardless of which party first called them to testify, and to rebut the the evidence against them. If you intend to address the board and haven't signed in, please do so. Also, anyone wishing to address the board, please stand and raise your right hand so you may be sworn in. You're reminded that this board is quasi-judicial and giving false testimony can be penalized. The clerk will administer the oath.
Please stand up. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You may be seated.
Do we have any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda?
No.
I would like to see the case with the police officer be heard first, so he doesn't have to sit here all night.
Okay, change the order. Sure, that's not a problem. I do have two additions to discussion items. One would be, it was suggested in a meeting I was in the other day with the manager and Doreen that we consider once a quarter perhaps having a meeting during the day, which I alerted them, though we do have 3 of our 5 members who do have day jobs, but I thought I'd bring it up for discussion just to get everybody's input. And the other issue I wanted to discuss was who manages the calendar and potential conflicts. I'll get into that later and explain what I mean, but that's just quick discussion items, I promise. Okay, and yes, Judy, we have consensus, I'm sure,
Yep.
take the case that the officer is here for first?
Yes.
Oh, okay, then, all right, then we will take you second. Thank you for letting us know. Luciano, are you ready with the first case? Oh,
Okay.
there he is. Okay. Welcome, Chief.
You want to swear in, Chief?
Uh,
Okay.
Has to be sworn in, Vanessa?
Which number is this?
7.1,
Under new business.
new business, sorry. Chief, you have to be, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Our first case under new business, 7.1, 824 Northeast 111th Street, case number CEC-25-0004. HQH Biscayne Park LLC, care of registered agent, Miami Accounting and Tax Services LLC. We are looking for an order of enforcement in this. The violation is under section 18.4, permitted days and hours for construction work. In this case, the active construction at the property occurring before 8 a.m. We have the Biscayne Park Police Chief would give testimony in this case.
Good evening, Board. Glad to be here. Mark Steele, the Police Chief of Biscayne Park, Florida. On this day, we were conducting patrol. We've gotten a lot of complaints on construction starting before 8 a.m. I went out there personally, started checking on the sites on this day in question. Before 8 a.m., there were several workers present working. I could hear the construction from the roadway. We took photographs, attached it to the report that was provided to code enforcement. There was a total of 3 workers, 2 workers that were up visible from the roadway, moving in machinery and bags of concrete. It was approximately right after 7:40 in the morning. We took pictures with the date and time also. There was 2 workers in the van out front. They weren't working, but the 3 on site were working. We shut them down and instructed them not to perform any more work until 8 a.m. They said they typically start about 7:30 in the morning.
Is there anyone here representing the property owner or?
No, no one here has signed in reference to that property.
Any discussion from the board? If not, I believe we're ready for a motion.
Question. On case number CEC-25-0004, I find that a violation has occurred, assessed fine of $250 and administrative fee of $250.
I'll second.
So second, I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
All right, before we move on, I just wanted to just add, I didn't want to influence anybody's decision here, but I think the last time we were here, I think last month, we had the exact same address with starting before, right?
Correct. This has been a frequent issue at this residence. We're working another, I don't think it would go in front of the code board. All the individuals that were working there that day did not have, were not U.S. citizens and did not have work visas. So I know that's more of an immigration issue, but.
Well, what I was going to add to that also was that at the last meeting, I had said that I was on my morning walk with my wife, and it was, I believe it was like, I thought it was like 7:25 or 26 or something like that. And I reminded my wife that, or I told my wife that I said, she goes, 7:26. She goes, it was 6:56 when they were out there working. So I've experienced that exact address with the exact same problem.
Good catch, Michael, and I appreciate it. What would help us is in our backup, if this is a repeat violator, we need that first batch of documentation, because I appreciate, Michael, that you remembered. The rest of us clearly didn't. So that's really important on every case, that you guys do that little extra step and include that past documentation so we know it.
Or basically just make us aware of the fact that it's a repeat offender for the same offense. And given that, I mean, are we amicable to rescinding the motion I made? And I would like to make a new motion. If this has already been before us once before for
Right.
the same issue and it's a second occurrence,
I think it might be the third. Were there two, there may have been two the last time. I don't remember, but
There's two adjoining properties, 820 and
Right,
824.
it was two different.
Okay, right.
Correct. So the,
December,
the
yes.
same company, we had
Right.
violation with, we had one right
Right.
next door. It was probably violating next door, but by the time we got to the second property, they ran off really quick. But we did get them this time. I know that you mentioned the last time it was that property that they were violated.
Right,
before.
right.
So at least the
Yeah.
second offense.
I have minutes.
So to inform the board, noted that we would add additional information in pertaining to this case. That was a different property owner.
It was next door. It was the one next door to it.
Correct. It
Yes.
was the demolition next door, and then you
Right.
saw them at the property that's this one today that
I
they're
see.
working.
That's,
Yes, sir.
I saw that one, yeah.
Yes, sir.
But we were talking about the other one. So it's same company, but I guess it's the adjoining property.
Then let it stand.
So, hang on. Okay, yeah, it was 820. You're right. Yeah, there is no 824. I thought we had two last month, but yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Thank you.
Thank you, board.
That the officer had cited here tonight?
Yes, there is another case. Once you guys have wrapped this up, I can move on to the other case. Our next case, 7.4 under new business, 11320 Northeast 11th Place, case number CEC-24-0122, J and B Management Associates LLC, care of registered agent Louis J. Murray. We're looking for an order of enforcement on this case. The property owner is in violation of section 18.4, permitted days and hours for construction work. This is a demolition of property before 11 a.m. on a federal holiday.
If I could just refer to the notes, we had a few, so I just want to make sure I had the right information. Just
In reference to this case, the chief of police would be given testimony.
Again, Mark Steele, Chief of Police of Biscayne Park. This happened on Christmas Day, 12/25, federal designated holiday. Our responding officer was Detective Luigi Moco. On this day in question, units were dispatched at 9 a.m. From the Miami-Dade Police Department and now Sheriff's Office in reference to the location at 115 Northeast 10th Avenue that had construction work being conducted on holidays. Upon arrival, the officers observed the construction work that was being taken place at a nearby construction site, which is the one listed at 11320 Northeast 11th Place. Upon investigation, they identified two males that were on site, Vil Freedon and Joseph Alex. Both individuals were informed that construction work was prohibited on the holidays. They did stop the work immediately, but the officers did witness them working at the time of response.
Is there anyone here representing this property, Luciano? If you would, sir, state your name and your relationship to the property.
I'm the contractor, sorry,
Your name, sir?
David Molina. Protect Builders LLC. I'm guilty. The problem here is I hired these subcontractors and I gave them a little bit of pressure to finish up because that property has been vacant for 3.5 years. They went to two different contractors and I wanted to make a mark. And I said, well, you know what? I need to do this on a timely manner. They jerked me around for 2.5 weeks before they did the actual work, so I put a little pressure at the end. I didn't know they were gonna work on Christmas Day. I was on the Keys in vacation, and then they called me at 12 something, and they go, hey, the police came by. And I go, what are you doing there on Christmas? Nobody works on Christmas. What are you doing there on Christmas Day? Well, they wanted to meet the deadline because I was about to fire them. It was my fault. I should have let them know, and I didn't.
Good intentions sometimes go awry.
Yep. So they wanted to finish quick. and
Thank you for
make-
your honesty.
So I'm here.
If there's no further questions,
I'd like to make a motion. Given the testimony of Mr. Molina, the contractor, what I was originally going to recommend was a little different than what I'll recommend. On case number CEC 24-0122, find a violation has occurred, assess a fine of $250 plus $250 administrative fee.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Chief, I just wanted to ask a question. The report that you were reading from, you weren't there that day?
No, sir. Per case law in the state of Florida, a police officer, through fellow officer rule, can testify on behalf of another police officer.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Just a real quick aside, though. When we do have repeat offenders, I find it helpful if you include the notice of enforcement from the first case, because then we know not only that it's a repeat offender, but what was our finding. Just that one little piece would be helpful.
Noted.
Next case?
Our next case, 7.2, 868 Northeast 119th Street, case number CEN-24-202, Mary Larson. We're here for a progress report on this property. The property owner was in violation of section 8.4.3.1, property maintenance, of exterior walls showing signs of discoloration. In regards to this property, they obtained a paint permit issued on January 13th, and the property is now in compliance.
Is the property owner or any representative here?
No one has signed in for that property.
Just requesting permission to be excused.
Sorry.
Requesting permission to be excused. Agreed. Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Well, if there's no questions, I'd like to make a motion. Case number CEN-24-202, that the property owner has come into compliance and closed the case.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Yes,
John, why don't we go back?
back to old business. Okay, number 6 under old business, 6.1, property 820 Northeast 111th Street, case number CEC-24-0066, Reyes Investment 820 LLC, care of Raul Reyes. The property was in violation of 18.4 permitted days and hours for construction work. This was a demolition of property before 8 a.m. On January 9th, 2025, the property owner came into compliance by paying the fine.
This is when they
If there's no questions, I'd like to make a motion on case number CEC-24-0066, that fine has been paid in full and to close the case.
Second. All in favor, motion, we have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Our next case under old business, 6.2. 826 Northeast 121st Street, case number EEN-22-0383, Jan and Roots, wife Denise, care of Laura Warive Balshalter, Esquire. We're here, the property owner is asking for a continuance for intent to lien. The property was under violation for the FBC code and Miami-Dade County Code, unsafe structures. Professional services for case preparation made Miami-Dade County Unsafe Structure Board hearing invoice number 0021200.05, date March 5th, 2024, in the amount of $10,000.
It would have helped to have this so that we had some time to read it ahead of the meeting. There's some meaty things in here. I apologize, folks. Just if you would give us just a couple minutes to read this document. Okay. Yeah, my question was going to be, because what was submitted to us for tonight's meeting, unless I'm missing something, did not satisfy the request that we made at the last meeting. We asked that there be a detailed breakout of how the 10,000 was achieved, because if you see, all it is a certain amount attributed to the building clerk, a certain amount attributed to the building official, but it doesn't itemize what in fact they did to come up with those numbers. And to me, that was a very fair request by the attorneys that were representing the property and the mortgage company, but unfortunately, we still don't have it. So, yeah, bottom line is you're requesting that we table for February.
That is correct.
Okay. There are no questions. That would be my motion, that we table EEN 22-0383 to our February meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Our next case under new business would be 7.3, 890 Northeast 117th Street, case number CEN-24-84, Manny Lopez. We're asking for an order of enforcement. The property owner is in violation of section 16.7 fence and wall permit. This property is an installation of a wooden fence without a permit located to the front of the property facing Northeast 117th Street and to the rear of the property facing Northeast 9th Avenue.
Okay, when I'm looking through the backup, I don't see any communication past June 11th, when the building clerk basically said, your permit will not be reviewed or continued permitting process until the following documents are provided, and I don't see any communication past that. Has there been any communication with the property owner, between you, Luciano, the building clerk, anything that made any progress?
Contact was made with the property owner. They were at the Village Hall on January 8th. I met with both Mr. Manny Lopez and his other half at the office and explained to them they were questioning why they were getting a notice to appear. So I explained to them the notice of violation and what they needed to do to correct the violation.
There's still not a permit, there's still work done without a permit that is still not permitted, and word,
Basically, P and Z denied the permit.
right,
On April.
right. And whatever proper documentation to put it back in the loop apparently has not yet been provided. Am I correct in that?
That is correct. We also have the property zoning here to also give testimony as to what their status is.
Before we get into that, Mr. Nips, did the property owner indicate to you when he was during this confusion of why he did, he was getting these notices to appear, that he didn't know or the status of his permit or anything of that nature?
Well, when he came in, I told him that the notice was because of the stalled permit and what he needed to do to correct it. Go through the planning and design board or remove said fence that would meet compliance.
Okay.
Yeah, because, yeah, the notice of violation was in February 23rd of 2024. And then they did have put in a request for a permit for planning and zoning. And in April the 1st, that
It was denied.
permit was denied. And instructions were given on what they needed to submit in order to achieve a permit or to get a permit. And from that point on, nothing significant.
Do we know if the fence was put in before or after the application was rejected? So it was an after the fact that was being pursued? Okay.
Because the notice of violation was February 23rd. He applied for the permit March 21st. That's what sort of initiated the problem.
Good evening. May I speak?
If
Good
you
evening,
would,
Board.
sir, introduce yourself and your relationship to the property.
Absolutely. My name is Manny Lopez. I'm a fairly new resident, a couple years already, and here in Biscayne Park, and I am the owner of the property. I think in all fairness, I would like to kind of go back to how we got here to begin with.
Sir, I need you to speak up.
Okay. Can you hear me now? All right. So I'd like to get to the beginning of how we got to this scenario. We originally hired a professional fencing company called Superior Fence and Rail, of which I had signed an agreement with them for about, I guess, $12,000 to put up a fence, of which they were taking care of all the legitimate paperwork with the village. And basically, after many, many weeks of denial and heartache, we just decided to back away from the project that we were going to do. Now, the project that we were going to do with this existing company was different from what we're talking about today. We were going to put a very long fence that was going to take 4 feet of my property in order for it to take place, which we did not agree with because it was, when you look at it in a square footage scenario, it's a lot of land that is being taken from us. So we had decided that we will cancel that agreement, which cost me $2,000 with that company. So we decided to replace some slabs that from the 2 existing fences that were there, because I have a 7-year-old kid that was probably 6 at the time. And, I have a couple of kids and a dog, and we're on the main road of the village, a main road that you see a lot of speeding vehicles. You see a lot of people walking in and out of the village that don't live in the village at all hours of the day, and we are in the corner of that street. The reason why there's so much activity there is because we're 2 blocks from the park, and everyone comes in and out of the park. So I decided to bring some additional information just so we're all on the same page as far as what took place, because we didn't put a new fence up. Basically, this is the original permit that was submitted from the original owner when he put up those 2 fences. This is a survey which I had submitted also when we went through the second round of trying to get the approval. I got photos of both fences, and you can see from before I bought the house, they were basically falling apart.
And you do understand anything you give us, it does have to stay with the file. We can't give those back. I'd like to see the permit, please, sir.
Absolutely.
Or that was from
It's an old,
2007.
it's from the original owner, correct?
This fence,
Y- Yeah,
ma'am, please. Would like to come up to the podium?
so we were not aware of, going through a permit process to replace some existing slabs. All the original posts are there. You know, again, we were always clear about that when I came to, you know, the village to say, all we did was change some slabs. We didn't change any structural, nothing was, where, you know, required any engineering or any architects to come out and, you know, do anything from, in that sense. So I submitted the paperwork, you know, I did get an email back in April saying that it was approved. And then I got another email saying I had to make a payment, which I did. Here's my receipt. And then things from there, I don't know what happened. Things kind of just fell off.
Can I see that approval?
Sure.
What is, the payment is for the permit application or?
Um, uh, I'm not sure, ma'am.
What's a P and Z fee, just to be heard at?
And there was nothing online that says anything about like a after permit. As far as when I was looking online, I didn't see anything about an after permit when it was brought to our attention.
I guess the bottom line still exists, sir, is that the fence was constructed prior to obtaining a permit. What was submitted was declined back in April. And 9 months later, the proper documentation apparently has still not been forwarded. So there is still an unpermitted project.
Well, I think his position is that he didn't go forward with the permit. He just replaced some boards on an existing structure. Is that the gravamen of what you're saying?
That's correct.
I understand. That's what I took testimony to be. Wait a minute. But
I agree.
the pictures submitted from the original one, they're vertical.
Right.
And these are horizontal, so it's more than just replacing 50%. It's
Right.
replacing
Yeah.
all of them. Even though the
The ones in the front, the ones on the
Front and the side.
17,
Mhm.
the side one was vertical, horizontal. I saw the ones in the front.
yeah, those are all
Those are vertical.
vertical all the way across.
The fee that you paid was just to get on to P and Z. Then you had to go there, talk to them and see if you could get a permit. So you missed a step in there.
Okay, I mean, again, that's where I think things kind of, the communication kind of fell off.
If, yeah, if it's more than 50%, and that's
50%
of this, the replacement.
I'm not, that's on driveways. I'm not sure. Luciano, on the fence ordinance, is there a percentage by which there is not a required permit?
Basically, for the fences, I can't say for the percentage. I know that anything over $100 in
Exactly.
repairs, you would definitely need to obtain a permit for that.
even if it doesn't have any structural, is that, I mean, there was no structural stuff done
It
to,
is structural, sir. A fence is considered structural. Fence has to be permitted and inspected for proper anchoring for wind. So yes, it is structural.
I understand that, man, but the original poles that were there were not taken out. They're still there and all,
But
it was
nobody
just,
knows that if an inspector is not out there looking.
I understand that. And I
Nobody
think that
knows
is,
the condition of them and if they're still If the rest of the fence wasn't in good shape, are those posts actually in good enough shape? So that's why we have a permitting process with a building official who can check things out.
Not only that, it's just that the design was changed also.
That too.
Had it remained straight flats and you replaced some flats that were rotted,
Mhm.
wouldn't, you most likely would not have had to pull a permit if it was less than $100. But the whole design is, and I
Mhm.
believe part of the design of a horizontal fence, yours, to me, meets the criteria because you only have a separation of a few inches.
Mhm.
It's to not allow a child to climb over it or get their head stuck in it. So I don't know why it was denied. It's just that you should have pulled a permit and it was denied. So where are you now with going before P and Z?
I mean, I would love to do right. I mean, we understand the permitting process. I mean, we own a business in Wynwood and we went through every permit that you can think of. Probably the only business in Wynwood that did so.
Probably right.
And again, it was just a lack of knowing that you needed a permit just, to replace some boards that we felt that were unsafe in the condition that they were in. And considering that we had applied for a fence with a professional company to come out and do it, and it got denied and denied and denied and denied.
I mean, in the absence of a like 50% requirement and, and putting aside the vertical versus horizontal argument, because it is somewhat persuasive, that $100 thing is that, that catch-all, I'm not a big fan of that because I just don't, I just think if we can't figure out some way to get you, we're going to get you on that. I don't necessarily agree with that, as far as hanging you up on that, but, a lot of the other arguments are also valid with respect to, the condition of the post, et cetera. And I also hear, a willingness to make right. I mean, I think, this is a circumstance where, we got to get the right result. It sounds like you're ready to do
Sure.
that.
I
It's
mean,
just about figuring out, what to do now. What happened in April when you received the information that whatever it was that you applied for didn't pass? Was that the old contractor or something?
To be honest, I really wasn't. I can't recall. There were so many emails that went back and forth, and so many things that came from the system, and even me going into the system and trying to find
Irrespective
stuff.
of which contractor, as we all know, it's still the burden is on us as homeowners.
Did,
I mean,
did you go to the planning and zoning meeting yourself?
I did not.
Okay, I would recommend you do when you have to go in front of P and Z.
Even with a
Um,
contractor.
Even if you have a contractor, they want to hear from the resident.
Okay. I mean, I would like to know what's the next step for us. I mean, of course, my biggest concern is my child. I mean, I don't want to put my child in harm's way on a main road,
Right.
because that would be really bad. So, whatever we need to do to, resolve the issue, and if an inspector can come
If there
out,
are
look at the
no more
post maybe, and make some recommendations. I don't know.
If there are no more questions, I think we're ready.
I'd like to add some additional information in reference to that permit, the FE 24-17, in regards to the Planning and Design Board, where they sent records back to the applicant for changes. They were missing a fence dimension and fence detail packet, which was incomplete.
So it sounds like that's what they need.
They need information.
Okay. So where do we go about that information? Do I have to go back to,
I would strongly urge you, sir, to make time and go into Village Hall,
okay?
speak with either the code officer or the building clerk, who then can pull your file and tell you exactly, versus sometimes emails, it gets to be too much. Sometimes you really got to do the face-to-face thing. If you can make the time, that would be great.
We have the dates of, are these dates correct for the next P and Z meetings, February the 3rd and February the 24th? Already, today is what, the
The
14th?
14th, The 24th should work.
Yeah. We'll take, we'll have to submit it a week.
Right.
Um, Well, I had to make a motion on case number CEN-24-84 that a violation has occurred and give the property owner until February the 28th. Allows for two code
Mhm.
hearings, two P&Z
P&Z
hearings.
hearings.
To to pull a permit and assess a fine of $250 or waive the administrative costs at this time, given that the property owner appears to be very cooperative and wanting to settle this issue.
And the daily fine?
No.
If he
If
does-
not pulled by February the 28th, a daily fine to assess at $250 per day.
I'll second.
Basically,
Is there an option to like take it down? Is that an option too, or?
Well, but you can go to planning and zoning and see what their requirements are, because it might be cheaper for you to pay the double permit fee and get it inspected by the building official and actually get a permit for it.
Okay.
The after the fact permit fee is double what the permit fee would be.
And so it might pass right now, and you just pay the permit fee,
Yeah,
and you're done.
okay.
So rather than,
certain criteria to say,
Yes.
okay, they're not going out to your property to inspect. You need to give them all that dimensions and all.
Okay,
It may be fine.
Okay.
We don't know if they don't have it.
okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Our next case, 7.5, 11335 Northeast 11 Place, case number CEN-24-276, Equido Gonzalez. We're here for a progress report. Property owner was in violation of Chapter 5.6 off-street parking, where the driveway does not meet the design standards set forth in Section 5.6.7. This case was before the board in the last hearing.
The reason we have this copy, folks, is I thought having 5.6.7, we could see exactly the detail. 5.6.7F is what pertains to gravel driveways. In particular, I call your attention to the border and the amount of depth that a border has to have on a gravel driveway.
Oh, I was gonna say, I mean, thank you for the picture and I see a vast difference.
Yeah.
So what are we actually looking at, Luciano? And is this a continuous border? What type of border is it? I mean, it looks
Definite improvement.
definite improvement.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I hope that we're done with Luciano's blessings.
Well, it appears to be continuous. I was there this afternoon. I saw that he had someone there working on it earlier in the day, and
Sir, I apologize, but as usual, the formality, I need you to identify yourself and your position of the
Please,
property.
my name is Eguido Gonzalez. I'm the property owner.
But Luciano, are you comfortable that this now fits 5.6.7, that there is a proper continuous border?
according to what here is in the ordinance, yes.
And what is that border made up of?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Is that concrete?
No, ma'am, those are aluminum borders.
Aluminum.
Yes, ma'am. Very durable as a granite.
Luciano, you,
And they're 4 inches deep?
Yes, ma'am.
Looks like you put some more gravel in there, no?
I'm sorry.
Looks like you put more gravel in there, or?
Played it very sexy.
Yeah. could tell.
okay. And if there are no further questions, we have a motion.
I think I've spoken enough on this case, so I'll let it.
In the case
That makes
of,
two of us.
in the case of DEN 24-276, my motion would be that the property owner has now come into compliance and that once the fines are settled, I'm guessing, sir, it's probably a pretty safe guess, you're going to want to come back for a fine reduction request.
I've submitted that already. I have.
Do we have all the paperwork on that so we can hear that next month? Okay,
I'll second your motion.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes
Thank you all.
4-0.
You do
Thank
have
you,
your
sir.
fines to deal with.
Yeah.
But you've already submitted it.
So we can't close the case until you come back and we deal with the fines and your fine reduction request.
Like I said, I've submitted that form and then whatever
Thank you, sir.
And
you all
thank
need to
you
do.
And
this.
Thank you all.
a significant improvement, sir. Thank you so much.
Our next case, 7.6, 11520 Northeast 6th Avenue. Case number CEC-24-0096. 11520 Realty LLC, care of registered agent Sergey Sandler. The property was in violation of Section 8.4.3, property maintenance, where the wood stairway in the back inside the building, there's an absence of a stairway handrail railing system between the top and bottom balusters with a vertical gap of more than 19 inches. In regards to this case, the property owner was in compliance, has achieved compliance, sorry.
He did pull his permit and
One moment.
We have a picture that shows
I need to be sworn in.
a rail.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. Doreen Grant, Code Manager, with the Code Compliance Department. I inspected that property for compliance and found that he has installed a handrail that helps people going up and down the stairway. And it's now in compliance. It didn't need a permit because it was a very small job.
well, in fairness, I see this was Raphael's case.
Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you, Doreen. Yes,
Case
please.
number CEC-24-0096, and compliance has occurred, and to close the case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Our next case, 7.7, 11638 Northeast 7th Avenue. Case number CEN-24-21. Patricia Cohen and Elizabetta Fantone. The property owner was requesting a continuance. They were in violation of Section 16.5.1 carport permit, where an existing carport was built without first obtaining a building permit.
I certainly want to hear why the request for the continuance.
It's no longer needed.
I'm sorry?
It's no longer needed, the continuance, because I was missing a
Okay.
engineering plan,
Okay.
and
well,
I got the
Because I
engineering
was going to say,
plan.
my concern here is we're dealing with a case that's 11 months old, and it's a simple fix to come into compliance. It's not a monetary, time-consuming. They just need the NOA.
It's done. I sent everything to Rafael, but he hasn't replied, I guess because he is on vacation.
Believe me, anybody who's put in a door or whatever, we're used to having to get the
Yeah.
NOAs. It's just a given. Luciano, has the gentleman submitted?
So do you have it with
Oh,
you?
sir, I do need you, please identify
Sorry,
yourself.
can you hear me? Hi, my name is Patrice Cohen, a resident at 11638 Northeast 7th Avenue. My wife is not present, but
Just a second.
I submitted it online. Ah, okay. But my account still, because I was able to go through the login and upload the document and everything. It was done on Sunday, the first.
Did you do it on OpenGov?
E- Oh, okay. Okay, but you do have the engineer, you didn't get it? Okay. All right.
We have a new system, I guess. His stuff is when he does this form, the stuff he did on the first is going to migrate automatically there?
Mhm.
Right. Okay.
All right. So,
So have you inspected the forms that he's got now and are you comfortable that?
do you want me to, I printed one out for
would.
you
Well,
guys, if you want
I
it.
believe you sent those to Raphael. Those are the plan details.
Yeah, the engineering, I had to hire, why it took so long is I had hired an engineering firm and they ghosted me. I sent them a deposit and never saw them again, so I had to start all over again. And so, okay. Well, I uploaded on the site and I sent them to Rafael just so that he knew that, it was done, but,
Yeah, we saw it. Did receive those.
okay.
That he got the details for that, but
That was,
as
I think, the only thing that was missing to finish my file.
so as the young ladies were saying, that you just submit those documents to the building department and then we can move forward with that.
I'll pass by tomorrow.
Sounds good.
There are no further questions. I'd like to make a motion. In case number CEN-2421, the violation did occur. The the property owner is working toward getting the permit. If the permit is obtained by February 28th, close the case. If it is not obtained by February 28th, a $250 daily fine. No, because he did start working on the application.
Thank you.
Second that.
Thank you, guys.
All in favor?
I'll second. Anybody second it?
I
Oh, Judy, okay, aye.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Motion passes 4-0.
Nice looking
I like it.
Yep. It
I,
look,
I,
the whole thing looks
Yeah,
great.
Looks very smart.
Nice.
And the driveway and the property.
Yep.
Looks good.
Okay, take care. Our next case, 7.8. 12022 Griffin Boulevard. Case number CEC-24-0097. Benvenido Figueroa and Carmen Figueroa looking for an order of enforcement. Property owner is in violation of section 16.3.1, building permits required. Was observed the exterior walls of the property are covered with stucco material without first obtaining a building permit.
What am I looking at in these pictures that are attached to the file? Stucco?
That is correct.
Like, like, okay. Like where? All the exterior walls, it's hard to see the detail you're trying to show.
The ones that came with the backup are incredibly shadowy. This one is marginally better.
Can't tell
Right,
what's.
right. And I tried even looking on my iPad and it didn't help.
I'm on my iPad right now and I can't tell.
I mean, I respect what code officer says he saw, but I'm not seeing it here. Questions from the board?
So what's the violation?
Stucco without a permit.
I mean, in my business, you can make a motion based on the four corners of the complaint and determine whether it, creates a cause of action, and kind of applying that same standard here. I'm presented with a description of observing exterior walls of the property covered with stucco without first obtaining a permit, and then I go to the pictures and I see, 1, 2, 3 pictures of a house, and I was provided one that were taken on January 8th and December 20th, and also today, and the one today doesn't look materially different from the other 3 photographs. So to me, I don't even have any basis to move forward with, yeah, but this is a violation of, that's being provided today. The property owner doesn't have a requirement to do anything at this point if there's not enough information to even move forward.
You can kind of stretch your imagination and see shadowing and changes, but not to the level that I would be comfortable saying, yes, okay, I'm looking at walls that are stuccoed significantly without permit. I'm not comfortable.
I mean, I'd move to, I don't know if the proper format is to dismiss or to quash or to not proceed.
Dismiss.
I'd make a motion to dismiss, based upon the information provided, that it doesn't provide a cognizable, case for us to consider.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Good evening to you. And thank you all.
Don't snatch
I-
defeat out of the jaws of victory.
I'm out. Thank you. Thank you.
That was our last case.
Next is the minutes.
I read the minutes and I thought they were another excellent job.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice.
Thank you, Vanessa. And we know that's not easy. I really appreciate it.
So if nobody has anything to add, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Record, 7 o'clock. Do we,
Yeah.
did you,
Still got two
We
discussions.
got
oh,
3 discussions. I promise. We'll make them painless, I promise. Okay. As far as the idea of once a quarter having a daytime meeting, not out of the realm of possibility, or I'm looking at both of you because I know you have real jobs.
Well, no, I retire effective February the 28th, so I'll have a little loose time.
Congrats, you'll love it, believe me.
I have
Michael,
a few more years left and, I'm got a very busy law practice. 7 attorneys that I stay in charge of, so.
Dave would not work for you. Okay.
I do
That's
have
all
a
we need.
question, though. What is the discussion for?
Oh,
People requesting daytime.
it had been suggested in a meeting, I had a meeting with Alan Doreen last week over several things. And one of the suggestions that came out of that meeting, because I wouldn't have even thought of it, was the potential of having once a quarter only to more accommodate folks, particularly who come with attorneys, so that they're not paying for those extra hours. And I also thought myself, once the subject came up, there might be people who are coming from further, but again, I said it straight out when it was suggested that I knew we had, well, we have 3, but I'm sure Rodolfo would have an issue also.
I'm only concerned, have, we don't know until really shortly before the hearing that a resident's bringing an attorney. So how would that be coordinated?
I'm guessing there are some ongoing cases that they pretty much guess, but again, I knew with 2.5 still working daytime that probably wasn't gonna work, but it was fair to bring for discussion.
I'm not really in favor of accommodating the attorneys either.
And I mean, we meet at 6 o'clock. I mean,
It's not bad.
it's not like we,
Getting paid either way.
I need Doreen in here for my next comment, but I'll wing it. I would really prefer Doreen because this is a staff issue.
well, wait a minute,
Okay.
which one are you talking about? Dates, calendar?
The
or
calendar
meeting
conflicts,
procedures?
the calendar conflicts, because that's a thing. Okay, meeting procedures. I think there's,
Let's continue with the meeting procedures.
okay. I think anybody who has ever chaired anything, particularly a board or committee, probably would agree that the toughest part of the job, really the part of the job, is to keep a meeting moving, showing everybody their respect, give them their time, but keep it from slogging. So if I'm faced like I was last month with someone who was literally reading verbatim from a document we had in front of us, I'm going to ask that they stop. Now, if anybody has any problem with any directive, that one or anything else that I say, all I would ask is please address me directly. I'm sure we can come to some agreeable conclusion, but don't do an end around. Because then we sort of lose control of the meeting and it's kind of a bad option. Speak out, tell me, and then we'll go from there, please. The last thing is, as Doreen and Vanessa know, last Thursday, I caught that our meeting this week was still listed for tomorrow when we had already moved it. And then that move would put us in conflict with arts and culture, which means all of that had to be dealt with because we can't very well move. We're too many people to get arts and culture to move. Doreen had to jump through the hoops and loops and get it all taken care of. I'm noticing February and March is the same thing. I shouldn't have to notice it. I shouldn't have to let you guys know because had we all ended up here tonight, we look very foolish. And this was a light meeting compared to most. Picture when we have a room full and people not happy to be here to begin with,
We have
Let-
another Tuesday meet.
let alone when wasting all of their time. I don't know that it's Tuesday, but whatever it is, arts and culture is listed the same day. So that's kind of an issue, and I only looked as far as March. It could go further. So is that Vanessa's responsibility to calendar and the conflicts, or one of the code officers, or? Yeah,
When is
February is,
I thought ours were pretty standard and.
Yeah,
And
but-
set, and it's just on the rare occasion.
but I noticed March and April, I'm sorry,
Right.
February and March, arts and culture is listed at the same time. Maybe that changed since last time. Look,
Right.
but we
So-
stay conscious of that.
Right. So we plan our dates ahead of time, and then we submit them to the clerk's office. So if Arts submitted their dates around the same time we did, she gets them and she enters them onto the website. But it's our responsibility to look and make sure
To manage it.
things
We
are
because
done
we
properly.
really don't want to,
Is there like a universal, calendar that, yeah.
We do have a
that's
universal.
Basically what we have at work.
like, I just called up February, and yes, we're back on Wednesday, but so is arts and culture that same night.
The conflict was, we moved our meeting from Wednesday to.
That was different, right? But this, in this case, we're both there. Somebody's got to be over there.
I'll take care of it.
What are we gonna do when we don't have you?
Yeah.
Need to.
And when aren't we going to have you?
Listen, whatever it was,
Luciano is here.
I think here in code cases. Press.
okay, if nobody else has anything to add?
No, I would only, I don't know what's going, when it comes down to, oh, the one thing, and I don't know if it's not necessarily for us, maybe for the commission, is, or to address these properties that have a fence a fence has been surrounded the property for years.
And it's a
Yes.
And they're
construction
vacant
fence.
properties.
Yes.
At what point, should the village, should there be a time limit on the amount of time a fence should
be,
remain?
right.
Without having to get a new permit or
Yeah.
be removed? Because the property, if the property's been demolished, then it should be in a park-like situation. I mean, it should be nothing that would require.
The
a
one on
fe-
7th and 113.
Yeah, there would nothing that would require a fence.
Right.
Because there's no pool, there should be no pool, there should be a cleared lot.
So the only thing that will stop us from issuing a violation is if there's an open building permit. So building permits can go on for a year because they are negotiating something with the county or they are trying to do something. These projects can go forever. It couldn't be any reason. But as long as that building permit is open, we can't issue a code violation for that fence.
But the ones like on Sixth Avenue, that's
Mhm.
been there for like 3 years, the
Yes.
ones on Fifth Avenue,
You're right.
there for like 3 or 4 years.
And I've had
Mhm.
direct meetings with property owners. I just had a meeting with the property owner on the one on Sixth Avenue. He came to the office from New York.
Right.
And I explained to him that we are not sitting here and waiting to look at that fence forever. He has an open permit now on that property.
Ah, okay,
Yes, so does Fifth Avenue.
right, because it's the same owner, I believe.
No, he sold.
All right.
But he has quite a few properties over here, so 1106, 1102, and then there's another one over here, the one we just, the one that had a gangs living in there, that's his property.
Oh, 116.
Yes, so I'm working with her, we have been working with his assistant, because he lives in New York, make sure the properties are safe, boarded up, and the permits are current. So they all have permits now, current permits.
Yeah, that,
Dale's right, if we do find a property that is out of, the permit is out, the permit is expired, we definitely will issue a violation.
excellent.
Mhm.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Thank you, Judy. Let me rescind that motion to adjourn. Second, we do have to vote on Rodolfo's absence.
is there any communication from Rodolfo?
Vanessa, where is she?
Where's the bathroom?
Has a communication part, I didn't hear anything this
And
afternoon.
Bring it back for next month.
We will.
He does.
Oh, it's possible.
I was surprised it was today. I checked with Vanessa. I was like, are you sure it's today? Because I was looking at it. I had no idea.
Because, but he should, because
When did it get changed?
when we got the agenda, it clearly said.
Did it change at the last meeting?
Did you get any communication from Rodolfo saying he wasn't gonna be here?
No,
We can take the, vote.
at the last meeting.
And the agenda shows it for both. The agenda says the 14th. I'm sorry, the agenda says the 14th, so we have both situations.
Right.
So do we want to take a vote on whether or not it's an excused absence? I'll make a motion to not excuse Rodolfo Barrientos' absence tonight.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
I kind of oppose it because there was a change, and if he didn't look at it,
I was at the last meeting and I didn't realize it until I checked with Vanessa today. I was like, are you sure?
I
So,
somebody had mentioned to me it was changed, and I went and actually looked on the website.
You weren't here.
But I looked on the website, and it was listed on the website until 2 days ago.
That's what do you think I brought up a few minutes ago?
May I help, cut it short? So the motion failed, so do we, can we
It's 2 to
just,
2.
make a motion to, say that, recommendation, till next week meeting, whether he was excused or not?
I'll second.
Fully till February? I'll agree. All in favor?
Aye. Motion to adjourn?
motion is to move the decision to do a motion
Yeah. Till next month.
till next.
What the story was.
Okay,
You know, in a way, that's only fair. God forbid, that it's something really serious. You don't want the guy to look at that and say, come on.
It's usually here.
Yeah.